Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining again for another wonderful time on our Insta Live. I hope all you guys have been doing well. We're waiting for people to begin to join us. Yeah, people are joining us from all over the place this time around. So we hope that it will be a fantastic time. You can wave at us. We're believing God to have a lovely time today. We have been dealing with a lot of stuff over the past few weeks. We dealt with the issue of church, and then last week I dealt with the issue of mental health, which we could not finish. So we would continue that later on. But today, yes, we have love life in lockdown. And so I will soon be inviting our guest in. But at the moment, just to recap some stuff. This is Caris Christian. I'm Dr. Kenya Adeshugba from Caris Christian Center in London, and also we hold our services on YouTube at the moment. YouTube Caris Online, and we also have the 2 midweek services of prayer for nearly about 30 to 40 minutes on Wednesday and on Friday through our Zoom. All the details you can find online, and we're going to have a lovely time today, and it's going to be an excellent time. Now, I want us to understand we're going to cover quite a few grounds today. So we're going to talk about marriage. We're going to talk about people who are just in a relationship, about to get married. We're also going to cover people who are single and single parents, and a little bit on finances. So it's going to be a lovely time. Tonight we're having a good friend of mine, Reverend Femi Ashaye from the King's Family Center in Grace. So I would let him just join in at the moment with us. Yep. Right. So let's welcome the Reverend himself. We're waiting, and we're waiting. And as we're waiting, he's the pastor of the King's Family Church. Oh, here we go. Hello, my brother. How are you?
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Good. You can hear me, isn't it? Oh,
absolutely. Can you hear me
well, isn't it?
Yes.
I can hear you. All right. Thanks for joining me today. It's going to be a lovely time. He's my very good friend. Yeah, he's been my very good friend for how many years now? 20. Before we got married.
Yes, 28 years.
Yeah, 28 years. 28 years. So Reverend Ashaye will be talking to us. He's been 25 years married. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur, and he is also an author. And we'll talk a little bit about your book later on before we close, the new book that you wrote. Well, thanks for joining us. You ready?
Absolute pleasure. Okay. Anything to add value during this lockdown.
Excellent. Okay, I have a few things I want to kick off. Just dive straight into this issue that we want to talk about. Listen to that. I want to read something to you. It has been recently reported by Bloomberg on the 31st of March 2020 that China's divorce spiked after they came back from lockdown. And Bloomberg said this is a warning to the rest of the world. It mentions that filings started rising in March as couples emerged from their quarantine. So, what's going on?
Well, none of us have ever been picked off the street and imprisoned before. And what we have just experienced is what most people go through the court system. So you will get to court, somebody will tell you you're going to be incarcerated. Here we were told in a very short period, you have to be locked in. Most of the things that I think I heard a clip of your mental health discourse last week. And some of the challenges is that we have to take a bit of cue from that, in the sense that the post-traumatic stress disorder that many people feel when they are locked up. Many of us have literally are going through it, but we are not cognizant of it. And so when China emerged, all the things that have got to do with that began to emerge. Apart from that, then you have natural things like finances. You have people who have been married for a few years, from 1 to 25 years, and have never, ever spent 24/7 at home before. So a husband is with the wife is with the husband, and all of a sudden, all the cracks begin to show. So that is the challenge of China. We are in a better place. I mean, I know Boris Johnson is talking about them lifting it soon. So we have to prepare. In order to ensure that we don't go through the same, we have to prepare for what I call exit from lockdown. You know, husbands and wives have to put aside drama and begin to talk and say, okay, you know what? Let's deal with issues from finances, the purpose of our marriage, our affection for each other. Actually begin to talk. If we don't talk, we will come out stressed, you know, and I pray that that won't be our portion in Jesus' name.
Okay, now, here's the issue I'm having. Maybe you can give us some pointers with regards to this. Now, China went into lockdown. They thought the issue was COVID-19, which it was.
Yeah.
But they are exiting with a, in fact, if I read something to you, one said that the registrars who they go to the courts to divorce could not cope with the rate of amount of people. Now, what is it about couples living together and staying together 24/7? Is it historical problems? Are there issues before? What can you explain about that for us? Because they said that the world should wake up and take notice of it.
Correct. Well, the truth about it is marriage is God's idea. Many of us, well, I use the word us because I need to generalize it. Many of us got into marriage without the fundamental discussions on what is this about. What COVID has done, what this lockdown has done, or it brings people together. And if you don't have a purpose for this marriage, I tell you, number one, your conversation will be almost zero. You know, when you're not locked down, on a Saturday morning, people go for weddings. On a Sunday, they go to church, you're Christians. On Monday to Friday, you go to work. So ultimately, you can easily be intimate strangers. What it has done is has brought you together. And unless there is something to talk about, it exposes what you call historical challenges. So if you have never talked about the in-depth things in marriage, I always say there are 3 levels of communication. Number one, there's communication about the weather. That's called frivolities. Then there's gossip about others. Many of us keep our relationship in gossip about others. Then there's what we call 3, in-depth discussion. What are you going through? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with me? How do we feel? We never get time to talk about that. When this lockdown happened, people are now faced with what's wrong with you? And in those kind of communication, number one, there's nobody to gossip about because you're not seeing anybody. You know, all the frivolities, you can talk about COVID on the news, but it brings fear. So ultimately, people are confronted with actually having proper communication. If that has never existed, what do you talk about?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
What do you talk about? I have to sit down with my wife and say, listen, let's have in-depth conversations during this period. So the lockdown is either a blessing or a curse. And the challenge with many people is that they have realized that they now need to begin to look at their communication. Husbands and wife, they don't normally talk at the number 3 level. You know, talk about how do you feel. Talk about what's going through the man's mind. Talk about her emotions. Most men, when women begin to talk about how they feel, we back out. When the man begins to talk about how he feels, he comes across aggressive. So in those kind of conversations, it becomes a challenge. You know, so I'm grateful for this period, but I'm also hoping that we can learn from this and emerge and not feel the courts of the UK with divorce petitions. You know, that is not what we're hoping for. So we have to trust God that whilst we are in this season, we begin to talk.
Okay, now there's something you raised which I might want to emphasize better. So a couple that has not been communicating regularly, Do you understand? Now find themselves suddenly in this situation where they're together. How do they begin to build that communication so that they don't end up breaking down the relationship when we come out of it, so that they don't come out and their marriage comes out too? Because, okay, they haven't been communicating, they haven't been sharing. I mean, where do they start from? Because that is one of the reasons when I read the Bloomberg report, communication was the key. And another one.
And like I said, and I go back to that, there's 3 levels of communication. We talk about frivolities, the weather. If I bring it to African families, we talk about what do you want to eat? You know, so those are communications at a very shallow level. Then the second level is we gossip about others. You know, we talk about other people. The third level, which is real communication, is actually talking about yourself. How do you feel? What is going through your mind? Many couples, and even the best of us, you need to take time out. Even before the lockdown, you needed to be taking time out regularly to actually get to that level of communication. Now, this lockdown has brought some people, they've been married 7, 8 years and never, ever communicated at this level. They've talked about the children, they've talked about work, they've talked about everything but themselves. Now, to get to this situation where the man, he needs to talk about what he's going through, whether he actually has vision, whether he has purpose. You know, when the woman asks him questions like that, if the man can't answer, it becomes a reason not to talk. So what do we do? What do we do? Husband and wife need to bring out a pen and paper and write a letter to each other during this period, because we've never communicated before. Verbal communication can be construed. Write your feelings down. Write your feelings down and read it over again so that you edit it. You know, when I say edit it, there are some things that if you let out in one go, it will create problems. You edit it, but let the person know how you feel. Now, okay, let me give an example. The wife will tell the husband, I don't feel you hear me at all. And then go on to explain. Now, every time I'm trying to tell you about how I feel, in life generally, my fears, you never listen to me. Okay, now those can seem general because people say never use things like always or never, but that's how she will communicate it. If the man reads it, he needs to ask on that right back, what are the things? Be specific. You'll be surprised that they started communicating in writing. She will say, okay, you know what? 6 months ago, you shut me up on this matter. 4 months ago, she will begin to go into history. Guess what? They are communicating. As much as it might not seem the best way, they are communicating. After a while, they will put aside the letter and begin to say, okay, you know what? From what you wrote to me, I want to come back on this matter. And guess what? They begin to communicate. If they can start that level, it will help.
Okay, go on. Right. So, okay. So, one of the things that I know is that if people have not been communicating before,
yes,
to sort out a major issue, I normally recommend them. Okay, now you can't go to a restaurant because you can't really scream on each other in a restaurant. But now, taking strolls, going out together and taking a stroll, probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the open, would do you good to be able to verbalize issues, especially when you want to talk about some serious issues and you have children in the house. What do you think? What other methodologies can people apply? Because talking is a major issue. And apologies to men. I think you've come to speak to us about men, come to speak to men a lot. Men, once they are confronted, they
internalize.
So what other the house that you've been in for 24 hours, or you're just clogged in the house, people should learn to go out and take strolls and discuss. Is that not one of the good keys?
Absolutely.
Especially if they haven't been communicating, especially because this has to be involved. This involves feelings.
Correct. Now, a lot of the times, obviously, I've heard younger couples say to me that because my children are older, myself and my wife, we take strolls every day during this lockdown, 30 minutes, and we talk. When you have younger children, I need to speak to you as if you have younger children and you can't leave them at home. So I would normally go into your garden. If you live in an apartment block, go on the balcony, but obviously create an opportunity. I feel that the man should take the lead. The Bible says, husbands, love your wife. I think once we get married, that responsibility God has given us, we tend to share it. So it's our responsibility to love. So I think that the man, if you let me speak as if you have a flat. Go onto your balcony, put a table there, put 2 chairs there, put candle there. Just create the scene. As if you are in a restaurant, then get to sit down and talk. Start with one issue at a time and just let it be. Just one issue per night. You'll be surprised that all of a sudden, because you are communicating, the next night your wife will be right on the balcony waiting for you. Because
brother, one second. One issue per night, not the whole shebang.
Absolutely. You'll be surprised that after you've spoken about that, you may end up having an uncomfortable silence. It just brings out the fact that you have nothing to talk about, but stay away from talking about other people. It's easy to say, oh, you remember that our friend down the road, they have challenges. You know, talk about your issues, leave it on your issues. Don't talk about the children. Don't talk about the weather. Don't talk about anything. It's about both of you. If it's only one issue, if after 10 minutes you're done, eat your food, take your drink, and go inside. The more you keep doing this, the more you realize that after 10 days, you get better at communicating. You actually don't give monosyllables. You said women, we don't like talking. You'll be surprised that the man begins to comfort. Men need an outlet. The reason why men, I'm digressing, go into affairs is because they want to connect with somebody. It's not an excuse, can never be an excuse. Let's get back into our relationships so that we don't come out of this lockdown and have Delilahs pull us off.
Right.
So
I know we might be having some technical issues. I think the internet is a bit, but we're getting somewhere with this. Let me add something. Let me add another question before I go into people who are having a relationship. Now, this is a big one. Let me come back to this. As much as I want to move away from it, let me come back to this issue of communication. It's how the normal thing is never go to bed with an issue unsettled. Now, the definition of unsettled is you can depend. I mean, it's variable, isn't it? How do you resolve unresolved issues? Okay, I've lost him for a while. Or did he hear me? Oh, good. I've got you back. Okay. Should I repeat my question? Did you get my question?
No, please go through it. No, I didn't get your question. Please go through it again.
Okay. Now, many people I've heard the normal slogan that says "Don't go to bed with a matter unresolved." Now,
yes.
The question, the key word unresolved is variable because because sometimes there are issues. The reports that I've read, I feel that there's some issues that have been historical for a long time that cannot be resolved in one go. Can you explain to people the importance of managing it gradually and dealing with issues and not expecting a miracle overnight?
Well, I always say, I mean, one of the challenges in marriage is separating the issue from the person. I repeat, separating the issue from the person. So if a person's wife or husband slaps them, that is a major issue. And we may say, well, that don't use that kind of example. Let's bring it out there. That's the issue. Now, the person is very separate from the issue. In all reality, when we're having conversations, we should say, listen, you slapped me. And I'm going that far because we need to use those kind. You slapped me. Can we go beyond this issue? You said how big the issue is. Can we go beyond this issue? Now, if we put the issue there, the question you have to ask yourself, do you carry on with the person whilst dealing with the issue? The challenge with most of us is we shut down everything. So we shut down the person and we shut down the issue. We need to learn to be able to handle the issue. So when the Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your anger, to be honest with you, what you are in effect being told to do then is to handle the individual by forgiving them and dealing with the issue.
Right.
You need to deal. The issue can take a long time to be clarified.
Okay.
What was your motive? Why did you do that? Would it ever reoccur? You understand? What gives me the guarantee? Those issues you must deal with, but that doesn't mean that you stop relating with that person.
Right.
Right. That is the challenge. So many people have the unresolved issue because when we shut down, then 4 months ago, we carried on a what I call on a need to do basis. We stopped. So that issue of the level 3 communication died. It was out. Are the kids okay? Do you want to eat? You understand? Have you eaten? The communication just becomes shallow. And the bedroom then becomes what I call legalized rape, in the sense that if you sleep with someone without feelings, or it is not right. You know, so personally, put the feelings, put the person to one side, forgive them, deal with the issue. Do you love me? Why did you do this? And then let's deal with the issue separate. The issue might take counseling, it might require counseling, it might require conversation for a very long period. But guess what? You keep moving on with the person. Because once you shut the person down, your marriage is over. At that stage, until you heal it.
Wow, you guys, please, if you can put your questions across, make sure you put your questions across, because I can be the one only asking the question. I don't know if you have something to ask. Please put the questions across to and then we will take the questions as we speak on. I hope you are loving this. If you are loving this, let us know that you are loving it by pressing the love button. Please comment. We love your comment also, so that we can know whether we're moving on, whether we're on the same level or things like that. Let me hit you with this one. Finances. One of the other reasons from the report I read was because family were not coping with the issue of finances in the home. Now, when you are locked up together for 24/7, things that you have hidden before now becomes open. Some people say that because, in fact, let me quote the China one. Many of them says because their husband had been followed or their husband has been sacked. Even the Shanghai divorce lawyer Steve Law said that it went up by over 500 and something %. How do we manage finances at this point in time? And you are a guru on finances, so.
Okay, I always tell you that there's not. We start from the fact that there's nothing new under the sun. The fact that the family, Pastor Kenny, you've been married for years, I've been married for years. In any marriage, you have wilderness years, not even months. I'm sure you can agree where finances, you are trusting God. You know, you have to pull your belt. It happens. One of the main thing, and I go back to communication. If your communication has been bad, so you see a lot of people, finances is the lifeblood outside of God, is the lifeblood of a marriage. Okay, I always feel very funny when husband and wife can be intimate physically but can never be intimate financially. It is horrible.
Wow.
You know, so I can sleep with you, I can expose my most intimate part of my body to you, but my bank account you can never see. That is a different thing. So I think I can even pause there. Now, once you now go through something like this and you have to handle it as a team, if you are not a team financially, it becomes very difficult. I speak to the men. Many men are very traditional. We don't discuss our financial life with our spouses. Okay, let me also speak to my sister. Maybe because in the past time when it's shown you, you have seen it as an opportunity to go to the shopping mall to start spending. But I'm not going to go there. I'm sorry if I've upset you, but we need to now mature and realize that we are not going to be the same after this season. I am trusting God that those who fear the Lord, their case will be very different. That we're in Goshen. Does it make sense? But ultimately, you're in a situation where your finances decreases. Speak about it. First of all, sit down and say, let's drop a budget. What can we hack? And there's no holy grail. Okay? If before you had been doing holidays to Spain and say, okay, this year we'll go to Brighton. We'll have an adventure. How do we explain to the children? We will tell them it's an adventure. Put together a budget, what I call a post-lockdown budget. So sit down and say, what is our income now? And what are our expenses? And what can we get rid of? And guess what? The quicker you are ready to honestly do that, the easier it will be for you.
Right.
Can I go as far as saying that some families may need to rent out their house and downsize just for the period after? I know it's tough. We are trusting God, and you shouldn't be saying that. You say, "Oh, don't say that on a church platform." You know, faith. I mean, faith without works is dead. Sometimes you've got to apply works to this. So if your income has gone down, there are two things you can do. Find a way to strategize how to push up your income or push down your expenses, or do both. But ultimately, you must communicate. So having spent that time on the balcony talking about your relationship and your issues, one of the final conversation is, let's talk about money.
My brother, things are blowing up here. Let me give you two questions on here, as you had raised. There was one that said, so can someone stay with a husband if he slaps you? Forgive him and solve problem. Now, let me first put this in. Because everybody, the majority of the people says, husband, we have seen women slap and abuse their husband. So I am going to change the question. If a spouse slaps you, do you forgive them and the problem is solved? As you raise, I know you said, let's raise the most difficult one. Yeah, I know that was a difficult one, but let me solve this person's question. What? Give me a say on that. I know what people, go on.
I'm sure my wife is tuned in, and I'm going to be in serious trouble. But I preached it from the pulpit, and I know it's nothing new. And as I say this, when we first got married, we had a misunderstanding, and my wife hit my mouth, and she said she didn't know she did so. If we did not move beyond that issue, it gave me a scar. If we did not go beyond that issue, we will not be 25 years down the line. So let me.
She gave you a scar. You should have left her there then.
Exactly. So the truth about it is, because most of the times we say husband, and therefore we don't realize that it works both ways. And forgiveness works both ways. You must put aside that issue and even joke about it. Even my children always go, mommy, remember that you hit daddy on the mouth. It's a joke. We move on. But you have to get to a stage where, in all reality, you focus on you and put the issue. The issue can always be buried in 1 year whilst both of you move on and you keep dealing with it until it's resolved. You must separate the issue from your relationship. If not,
although
your relationship.
My brother, this is different from domestic abuse, isn't it?
If the person is a serial abuser, then that issue is the person.
Yeah. All right.
That
okay.
Okay. That means part of your discussion is there anything in your childhood? You may need help. So the person, therefore, is part of, this is the issue. The issue is that they abuse you. So they slapped you once, apologize, twice, by the third time, forget it. It's now the issue, the person. So the person
not the issue. Right.
No. So the person then needs to be able to get help with you, help on their issue. And sometimes you go into their childhood and you'll be surprised that that person saw a parent do that. And literally it's been wired into their mind. So that might require counseling. But in all reality, I'm talking about issues that you'll be surprised that some of the issues are not recurring. A husband who went into a business investment, lost the money and is never forgiven. Never forgiven. So the person cannot move on. It becomes so bad that even in the bedroom, everything gets affected. Or the wife does something, maybe spends money beyond what is expected. Sometimes you've got to put the issue to one side and forgive and move.
Okay.
But if it seems like that is reoccurring, like domestic violence, you must that issue is actually now the person, and that person must be when I use the word dealt with, the person must be ready to deal with that issue that they are. That means
Because
they are.
because my take on I know there might be a question somewhere that if the person is refusing help, it means that it's the person, not the issue. Somebody should begin to find their level, because that person.
Once it is the person, then there's no relationship.
Exactly. That's why we're trying to. I mean, I like what you said. I think many people need to realize that important key you said, that if you separated the issue from the person, if you hadn't in the beginning of your relationship that it was an issue, it was a mistake, which has never happened again, you would not have celebrated 25 years of marriage today. Because it was an issue, not the person. But if the person is a serial committing the same abuse, then it's the person, it's no more an issue.
Correct. And the only way the person can be dealt with like an issue, the person must be ready to get help. You understand? And if that person is not ready to get help, you can't move on from there. So the marriage is stuck. The marriage is stuck. You can't move on. You know.
Let me ask this question to some people who are, because I know some people who have already planned to get married.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, the wedding had to be postponed. They were supposed to go to the registry. The registry has shut down. Probably not till September, or things. I've been hearing all kinds of stuff happening. Now, for those who are in a relationship, who I believe, according to the Christian ethos, are living apart, how do they maintain that oneness? How do they maintain that relationship? How do they avoid allowing the inability to get married now not to affect their relationship?
Well, I believe love is for a lifetime. So if you're going to get married, you're going to be with that person, all things being equal, by God's grace, for decades. You cannot let a 3-month decision impact on your long term. So I feel that reality, both of you must come to discuss long-term perspective. So that's one. So rather than talk about wedding is not marriage. Wedding is actually just giving you the almost like the starting point. It's the gong that says you can now start your journey. So we should not let the lockdown, the delay affect you. Delay doesn't mean denial. So that's one. Okay. Secondly, there are many ways. I don't understand. I was recently celebrated VE Day, and I saw neighbors come out, and with the 2-meter distance, they were related. So when you say that you are on lockdown, even if you live in Stratford and she lives in Brentwood, you drive and you meet somewhere in the middle, park in your own car, put up the window and be kissing each other from the window. I miss you. How are you? Guess what? There are innovative ways of getting, unless you're in 2 separate countries. I know you might say, but they told us not to go far from our homes.
Well, that's not what police is saying today.
Well, exactly. Nothing stops you from reaching out the 2-meter distance and wave at each other. I know most of you have met each other in a while, you break it by hugging, but that's up to you. But I honestly believe that you should not allow this period. Keep talking about your 50th anniversary, 25th anniversary. Talk about the children you believe God is going to give you. I tell people to describe their front door when you're not married. Describe what your kitchen looks like. It just gives you hope, talk about the place you're going to travel to. I think the more you talk about the future, yes, it will give you a bit of hope. So yes, there's a bit of lockdown, but we should not allow this period to deter. I know people get into depression. I've heard 1 or 2 people call and say, I'm not happy. They've canceled my wedding. They haven't canceled the wedding. It's just been moved, And I always say,
Right.
Most of us,
Yes. Say that again. They need to hear that. The wedding. Yeah, exactly.
they haven't cancelled your wedding. They've just moved. It's just been moved. And guess what? Most of us, our problem is Instagram wedding, because we've got the venue. I always say the three things you need: the pastor, the venue, and you and your husband. The rest are bonus. So if they give, if Boris allows you to come together in 3 weeks, I don't think if you call your pastor and you sow a good seed into his life, he won't show up. I'm going to be any parent that wants to come, as long as they're allowed to, you get married and you're done. And then subsequently you can go and do the rest. So I feel very clearly, it's the images we put up in our minds. Let's put the image of life. Love is for a lifetime. So let's focus on the image of a lifetime. Let's understand that this is just a delay. It's not a denial. And if we're that desperate, pastor is the only necessary person, and both of you show up, get married, and then you can do your 1 year anniversary on Instagram.
maybe God is saving you money, and you do not know that this is a divine intervention.
Absolutely.
No, seriously, I believe that sometimes, and I've said it over and over again, sometimes that 5 grand, 10 grand that you could have spent, and now that they've said you can't spend it, and you can just get a pastor or a registry to do it, would have been a deposit for your house.
Absolutely.
And then in a years later, if you want, you can just call everybody to come and have fish and chips and
go to your garden, get the pastor there, get a photographer 2 meters away, and let them record it, and that's it. You're done. We save money. We got married on 1,200 pounds. People that got married a month before us spent 20 grand. We are 25 years down the line. So a lot of the times they help you. They really help you. Can I digress to you? By the way, you shouldn't be spending this kind of money if you don't own your own home. I just feel is bad.
They didn't hear that. You need to repeat that very well.
Okay, I got married in 1995, April the 8th. On April the 8th, the cost to myself and my wife was 1,200 pounds. The month after we moved into our home that we bought, because I was saving. I don't want to feed people for one day, and by that evening they put it down the toilet. I rather, own my own home. So if you're planning those big Instagram weddings and you don't have the home, please, COVID has helped you.
Oh, my brother. Yes.
Any parent that is not happy should just bless you from afar. Just get married, and the rest you can handle later. Lord with you.
Hey, no. It's so serious, because the cost that the budget that people are telling me that they have to get ready now is absolutely silly.
I know what, and can I be honest with you? Can I go there? I'm not sure the parents, because most of us are now at that level. You have been married. Let your children have their own wedding.
Hey!
I'm going to repeat it. You have been married. If you did not get married properly, that's your own business. Now you want to have a dream wedding through your daughter or your son. Don't stress them.
Hey!
Listen, let them. If you have 10 grand extra, put it towards their deposit. Hey. Some of you finance a lavish wedding for your children, only for them to move into a one-bedroom apartment and be there for the next 10 years. It's horrible. Right. I will honestly tell you, this is what creates some of these lockdown problems they're facing now. If you set them up well, then the less pressure they have in the future. So I want to honestly say to those who are getting married and to their parents, let them go. Just if you're very wealthy and you can afford for them to move into their home, have a bit of investment, then get married, then that's good. But the order of priorities, they must own their own home. Can I go a bit further?
Black brother, just lands the thing.
We are on the bottom of the line in terms of what I call the investor class, in terms of the capacity to go up the ladder. I mean, they say the British man's home, a home is his castle. Yeah. That means it's a fortress and it's a place of wealth. Our challenge is in our ethnicity. We are the ones on the lowest level. So I always say if anybody is getting married, the first thing any parent should do to help them is to make sure that they buy their home. The wedding is not the priority. The marriage is the priority.
You know why I'm happy about this? Is I've said this over and over again. You know, it's good to hear the confirmation. I tell it to my own children that, look, I am not spending any money. If you have the house, then we can, well, whatever we can do. But I am not spending, and many people, and the reason why we're raising this is that I'm telling some people today who they think that their wedding has been postponed, rather than get into depression, check, is this the hand of God? Has this turned thing around for me? Has this been able to give me a fresh perspective? Has it allowed me to convert or divert my money into something that later on, I mean, just imagine if I had about 20 grand to spend on the wedding and they've closed me down and they said that I can only, you're saying 20 grand. Some of them are telling me 30 grand. No way, forget it. If I have that kind of money and then now I can only go to the registry and just have a few people around, in a year's time, why don't I call them back to my garden that I have used the 30,000 that I have spent on your mouth and bring you to my garden and we have a celebration?
And we have a herd mentality as a people. So who told you that Instagram wedding? So I know the young people do that. They almost follow each other and they check the wedding dress and they feel that that's how. I think we need to start breeding leaders who actually say, no, I'm not going to go with the crowd. So if everybody is having Instagram wedding and going bankrupt, try and be different, you know. And I want the older couples to begin to teach the younger ones.
To teach the younger ones, yes.
Correct. That this is not how to do it, you know. This is not how to do it. We need to start encouraging them to buy their own homes first. Any family, a couple that buy their own home, I tell you, it puts them on a. All the young couples that bought homes after they got married that have cancer, when you look at the prognosis, they are always happier, all things being equal. You know, so I want.
You see, that reminds me that it reminds me of something you and I know. We know, don't need to mention names here. When I was getting married, my wedding ring, which I still have today, although my wife has told me to change it so many times, we were expecting to change it at our 25th wedding anniversary in July. But now God has saved me some money. I'm not being stingy, but we'll do that at a later time. I remember that I bought my wedding ring for about £60, and I remembered some people after me, a couple after me, bought their wedding ring for £5 grand. They didn't last 6 months.
Yeah.
We are 25 years down the line. People forget what ring you are holding, but they remember the longevity of a relationship. And I think that the African culture needs to change their mindset about what all these expensive weddings are about. What do you think?
I think honestly that is the mindset that people need to realize, that they need to invest in the marriage and not the wedding day. The wedding day is the wife gets to the church at 11, by 11 at night, or 12 hours. Okay, so spending 20 grand on 12 hours is bad investment. By any standard, bad investment. If we spend 20 grand on something that would last for the next 60 years, our first home gave us the capacity to invest by using it as a leverage for other investments. I tell you, I would always say, please, I don't know why we're on this lockdown issue, but if you have not been married for a reason during this period, talk, communicate, start saying maybe we've got the priorities wrong. Maybe we now need to start focusing on what matters. And I tell you, a small reception, even if after the lockdown, a small reception, the church, and that's it. Our honeymoon was in Brighton. I just couldn't invest in flying because for me, honestly, we are just
Bognariges. We are Bognariges.
They always keep telling us we're old school, but guess what? Old school are the fresh school now. We're enjoying our marriages. 25 years down the line, we've got to honestly keep teaching them that it's not about, you know, what generation it is. Truth is truth, and, you know, and we have to always realize that you must invest in the marriage and not the wedding day. Always. You know, I'd rather that you spend 20 grand on your 25th wedding anniversary. All things being, because what you have done is, if you have done it right over that period, your capacity has grown. So if after 25 years you say, you know what, I want to take my wife to the Caribbean, take my children, invite some friends, 25, you are worth it then.
You are giving Dupe ideas. Let's just move on quickly. Yeah. In fact, I absolutely agree with that. And I know there's some questions. I know there are many questions that have come up. I'll come back to the questions. If I can't come up to the questions, we will do another session later. But I just want to move to this particular question, and then I will come back to it. Now, it is difficult. It's a difficult time for anyone who is single. What advice do you have for them? And can this lockdown really bring them into a relationship for those who are desiring to do so? Is there a possibility? What avenues?
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm going to take a long-winded way of answering this, but I will answer this. I'm taking a long-winded way so that the people that are single can see how lockdown can produce opportunities. Many churches have not been online before now. We used to operate, in our four walls, but this has forced individuals to connect in a different way. Singles, literally, prior to the lockdown, they have never questioned their circle of influence. I mean, the people around. What this has done is has taken people, what we're doing tonight is taking us online. I feel, and it's not a taboo, I feel that you need to hold online house parties. If you have girlfriends, if your girlfriend just got married a year ago, get your girlfriend to tell her husband to invite his friend and hold a house party online.
Wow.
You're playing around, but as you're playing around, the guy is seeing you or the girl is seeing you. And after 2-3 sessions of house party, it will become personal one-to-one Zoom meetings, and from there, you go for a date, and from there, God is good. So I can imagine. Let's take advantage of what has been presented to us. We have gone online, and in all reality, let's think out of the box. We need to start holding Zoom parties, house parties. Use your network. If you have girlfriends or a girlfriend has recently got married, and the brother or the husband is like a brother to you, just telling my brother, you know what? Get your friends to come online and let's just have a chat. No hard thing. We need to start being our brother's keepers. Nowadays the concept of dating is an industrial mindset. Before the industrial ages, it was courtship. You always had to have somebody introduce you. Going on the street and meeting somebody is a challenge. We need to connect with your friends, build your network, get someone to get you into a Zoom meeting. And guess what? Over time, you can connect. But once this lockdown is over, I think you should come out of this lockdown with hope that I have somebody that I'm going to go and date, go for a meeting with, go and sit down and have lunch with after this is all over. We need to go online. We need to go online with this.
So should we, now this will be a bit of a funny one. Some of our prayer meetings, should we be seeing our faces? That might help. Maybe have single prayer meetings with.
I don't think we need to do that. The salon has been closed for about 7 weeks.
Early morning, 6 a.m.
Can you imagine the hearing like that? Some people have not stayed in weeks, So I think, I know I'm almost contradicting myself. I think that in all reality, yes. Prayer meetings somehow we when it comes to church things, we always separate the spiritual from the have a social party. Recently we had a meeting in church and I just felt I hadn't seen my people, and we had a Zoom party. I invited everybody in your pajama. Let's just all joke, no prayer, no nothing. So people need to start having social get-togethers. So you need to get your friends to get somebody online and just connect. Connect as a group.
Somebody asked a question about what do you think of online dating?
That is what we are doing now. We're online connecting. I don't understand why we keep making things taboo. I don't believe in online dating with strangers because you're exposing yourself. But I don't believe that you need to cancel that platform. If I have a friend, okay, and lockdown or not, because of geographical location, has not been, cannot, okay, I have a friend in Scotland, for instance, who is single, and I have somebody in London who is also single, and I feel that they can connect. I will go on to a Zoom conference with them, with my wife, crack jokes, play around, almost like we're going on a date, and subsequently leave them to connect from there. And they may not necessarily have the time to always come from Scotland to London. It's online dating still, but they will ultimately get to a place where they will now see that it's nice to come together and at least maybe have a date in not Nando's but Ritz or somewhere.
So it's also that money is supposed to have gone into the mortgage fund. Anyway, if they start with Ritz, God knows where. Now, here's the question. Excuse me. As you said that, something came to mind. Sorry, I've just been. I'm well in Jesus' name. Now, doesn't that put responsibilities on the older and other people who have got married to also be divine connectors?
Well, somehow we have allowed the society that we're implanted in to remove culture. Sometimes you can't remove culture. So I look at the cultures that practice. I don't like using the word arrange, because if you use the word arrange, it puts people off. I like cultures that set up people to meet each other, not necessarily force them. You tend to get a higher rate of marriage. In the Western world, where people are almost meant to meet somebody in the pub or on the street, for us Christians in the church, we limit our pool. So I believe very clearly that the older couples have a natural responsibility. Number one, you are not emotionally tied. So when you see somebody, what you're looking out for are the qualities you want the person that you're looking out for to find in a partner. So you're very objective, and it's very easy to then bring them together and walk away. Your job is done there. So I feel very clearly that people should, older couples, and when I use the word older couples, not necessarily chronological. If your friend who married a year before you is now married, they need to get their husband's network that they are praying to get married to connect with their single sister. So they have a natural responsibility to make sure that their network, becomes firm through marriage. Wow. I remember when we were getting married, we were connecting our friends together, and now 20-something years, over 2 decades down the line, we need to do that.
Yeah. Most of us connected each other. We were connecting each other. Now, what's the role of the church in this connection? What's the role?
The church needs to always facilitate. Always, you must always. You have to have some form of program, but also always review it if it's not working. So young adults coming together. One of the challenges we don't realize is from when our children go off to university to age 25, so 18 to 25, to an extent, they are left on their own. They go off to university. If they don't meet anybody, then they come and they finish. They come back home and they come back into the same church and things are as usual. So we expect them, by the time they come back at 21, 22, to get married by 25, 26, 27. Where did they meet these people? The church needs to put together programs. We need to put together, and it's not about, and because of church politics, we don't feel we need to do that. We need to go beyond, do you belong? Am I Paul's or am I Apollos? Come on. We're all Christ. The children will decide when they go to church. They may even get married. A daughter can be from the King's Family Center and the son from Caris and choose to go to worship tabernacle. Why do we always want to cage them? We should bring them together for the sake of marriage and kingdom and let them decide where they go. But churches have a high degree of responsibility in doing that. We want to put the program together. I don't call it singles program. It's just, let's be inventive.
Yes. Yes, singles
Then when they come back
programs.
to university, they must meet people of like mind. Let's come together and make it happen.
Now, let me ask this question before we go, because I want to bring a balance to every area. How do we manage the relationship with children during this period so that we do not become irritable with them, especially coping with being a parent, a teacher, and also working from home, especially if someone is also a single parent? The
Yes, that
sound is
makes
not
sense.
still good, isn't it? The sound is not good. Oh,
Is the
talk to me.
sound
Let me
better?
see. Yeah. Okay. Go on. Go on. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of, let me start from being a single parent, because sometimes when we talk about children, we talk about in the context of marriage, and we leave out those who, for whatever reason, are being heroes, especially the mothers
Yeah.
who have been left
Yeah.
without duty,
Yeah.
who are literally having to raise the children by themselves.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage them by saying thank you. I say thank you because many a times we tend to ignore the fact that these children are being helped. You know, the work that they're doing with them is phenomenal. Okay,
Yeah.
so having
Yeah.
said all of that, children by nature are children. You know, children by nature are boisterous. The younger they are, the more boisterous they are. When they get slightly older, you know, when you actually get children that are my own son's age, my son is 15, you now deal with a different issue entirely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having to
Yeah.
handle children, we need to almost separate that part of our parenting from other issues, our lives, from other issues in our lives. You know, we need to get to a place where we actually accept that we need to be parents. That's one area
Okay.
of our lives that we have to work with. We
Okay.
need to understand that being parents is a very big privilege. When we die, when I die, the main thing that I will remember is not the money in my bank account, is the people that carry on with my legacy, primarily your children. So honestly, don't let them, you know, I see parents that treat the children like they're an irritant. You know, there's a lot of pressure. We talked about finances, we talked about marriage, you know, all that. I beg you, in the order of priority, place your children quite high there. Not most of the time because their voices can't be heard. When we tell them
Yeah.
to shut up, they keep quiet. And sometimes they keep quiet until they go off to university. Then you don't own them anymore. And then they
Wow.
begin to misbehave. You know, there are many people that even with this lockdown, they are not going home. They refuse to go home.
Wow.
They're adults. You can't
Wow.
force them to go home.
Wow.
You know, so please, at this stage, you know, part of your time together is, you were talking about, Pastor Kenny was talking about going out for walks. Even if you cannot go out for walks as a couple, you must go out for walks with your children. You know,
Okay. So yeah, I hear you now. You and I have children that are older that can take care of themselves, even though the shouting has increased as they grow older. But young children with either a single parent or even or two parents at home, some people are saying it's driving them mad. You know, they have never been in this situation before, and now they have to stay at home with them. Some people are having challenges with the children, or some children are having challenges themselves. You know, how do you cope so that it doesn't bring a breakdown to you or your relationship also? For example, let me give you another example. In most cases, the mother, and apologies to that, I know some men do that. I'm not trying to be sexy, but the mother is the one who had normally take them to their school, bring them back, do the homework, cook, do all kinds of stuff with them, take them, and the dad is not used to that, but now has found himself at home, and the mom is saying, well, you need to now help up in doing homework, and it's becoming a major issue. That's in a two-parent family.
correct.
what can you tell them? Because last week when we talked about mental challenges, this can be really a major issue.
Absolutely. All right. So many a times when you lose control of a situation, that's when mental health, that's when emotional imbalances set in. I always say planning is always the thing that gives you a bit of control. It doesn't mean everything goes according to plan. So what you have to do is say to yourself whilst they're at home with you, that we need to plan their day. We need to. When do they wake up? When do they go to bed? Some children control their parents. They sleep at 1 a.m. at 5. They are only 5 year. They are only a 5-year-old daughter that you have, and your daughter dictates that they sleep at 1 a.m. That's crazy. Plan when they sleep. Put them in their room. If they like, shout. You stay there, but until you go to bed. So you have to. We've got to bring structure in. Say to yourself, okay, they get up at 7 a.m. in the morning and they must go back to bed at 7:30 or 8 p.m. Structure. In between, structure their day. Some children are actually having online school, so somebody has to help. You can actually plan that, okay, you give 2 hours, the other person gives 2 hours, and then we'll actually go and do outdoor activities. The government, even from lockdown, had never said you can't exercise.
No.
Get them on their bikes. If they don't have bikes, get them on their scooter. The problem is you never did that before. So the only playtime children had was in school. So now get them on their bikes. Get them on their scooter and use it as an opportunity to shed weight yourself because you are not isolated from your fridge. So go out there and go for a stroll, with them. And they will help you burn energy. And all of a sudden you will begin to see that you have had that child for 5 years, but maybe as a father, you have not necessarily been that engaged. So I want to say we need to spend time together. Even there are times that you have children that are even teenagers that don't want to go out on exercise. They just want to play game. Get them away from it and go for strolls. Insist. Insist. It allows bonding time. It allows structure. So I feel that if you're a single parent, I know you have to do it twice as hard, but you still need the structure and you still need to be able to take them out for exercise. If a child goes for a 1 hour stroll, by the time they come back, they will knock off and give you a bit of break.
Yeah, because I find it very, we're trying to deal with children at different ages. And there's something you said that is very important. Teenagers don't want to get out of the house. They just want to sit with that PlayStation. And in fact, when you talk about structure, there's structure and discipline because they're still sending them some work from school.
Correct.
If you have never been involved in their study life before, this is a God-given opportunity for you to know what level. In fact, I was talking to a particular couple and they've told me that this lockdown has actually allowed them to understand the level where their child was academically. And they have been able to build them up to the level that they're supposed to be. Now, this is not, but this teaching, and I'm using the word teaching, this teaching where they have put the responsibility on the parents to teach their children is also a God-given thing. Because you can teach them also spiritually and teach them also physically. And it's forcing parents to be able to get involved in teaching the children and also to appreciate teachers.
Correct. And even for one part of the spouse, there's always shelved the responsibility. I've heard a number of husbands recently say to me, my God, I now respect my wife, to actually be able to engage your children at that level is very challenging. And bear in mind that most couples are still working from home. So they have to obviously deal that. And I want to speak to the husbands as well, please. The fact that you're working from home you're not in your office. We can't say, listen, deal with the children. I don't want to be involved. I don't think it's fair. I think we should find time to spend time with the entire family. I'm sure during your working from home, you get breaks, contribute your own quota and go for strolls. And I believe if you do that during the day, during the night, you get your reward.
Hallelujah. Hey, okay. Somebody asked a question online. Let me ask the 2 questions. It says, Thanks for this, Pastor. I would like to know your opinion on joint accounts.
Well, I can tell you that it's an opinion, but if you look from the context of scriptures, Adam and Eve were naked before each other and they were not ashamed. The level of intimacy they had was, and I don't think couples, when they get married, are physically ashamed. I'm sure when you first get married, you're so excited about the honeymoon that you can strip off, you know, but when it comes to money, we don't do that. I honestly believe, and I've always said this, that if you are not transparent in your finances, especially when it's less complicated, when you first get married, it already sets you for a bad financial foundation. You know, I don't think I can have an affair because you need to have pay girlfriends, and my wife will know. You know what I mean? Because she knows what goes on. So honestly, I want to tell you the honest truth. From when you get married, we always counsel anybody that we are joining that they need to have joint account. Let your salaries go in there and then pay yourself into your individual account.
Yeah.
What that does for you is allows, at least in the early stage of marriage. Obviously, as you grow in marriage, you have businesses, you have business accounts, you have different things. But if you start with that mindset, there's this mindset of transparency. So even if the wife is the one operating her business account, she already has a mindset of transparency that she will discuss finances with her husband. Or if it's the husband that runs an account, he will discuss business account with his wife, even though, you understand, it's a sole trading account. So we must learn from day one to actually have transparency, naked and not ashamed.
Okay, so somebody's gone so far now, set in their ways. In fact, there are two questions I'm going to put in here. Somebody's gone so far, set in their ways. Now this thing has allowed us to now sit down and talk. How do they start readjusting to that? That's number one. Number two, somebody asked a question and says that what if the woman ends... Okay, what if... Okay, maybe let me ask that. Okay, they said, what if she earns more than the guy? Are there issues with regards to that? So maybe you can answer that question, and I will look for the question. But the person was asking the question that if she earns more than the husband,
Who is it an issue for? I'm going to ask a question back. Who is it an issue for?
Okay,
when you walk down the aisle,
excellent.
When you walk down the aisle with a man, you married him. You married him. When you married him, I'm assuming that by the time you got married to him, you had the potential to earn more than him. You know, it should never be an issue. You married him. He saw you that way. You saw him that way. So neither of you should make it an issue. And if you make it an issue, that's why I say going back to the level 3 communication. At that point in time, you must sit down and say, this is an issue, and deal with the issue, even though it becomes personal. You know, if the man is earning less than the woman and he knows it's an issue, bro, don't walk down the aisle. Because if you can't go beyond it, or if you don't have the capacity to get to earn more, listen to me. I always tell people that, you know, a man who actually has the desires to be the main earner of the house should work double hard. If not, you should never have an issue. I have some of my friends who, when they married their wives, the wives were earning a lot more. Now they earn 80% of the home income. You know, the honest truth is, if it's an issue for you, then part of your conversation with your wife is, you know what, I always want to provide, so I will do extra hard. I'll work extra hard to ensure that I earn more. Having said that, if the woman has an issue with that, then you must discuss it. If you don't discuss it, it becomes an issue. I think if you don't communicate, that's where the real issue is.
Okay,
you know,
I like what you just said.
Until you don't discuss it.
I like what you just said. You said, who is it an issue with? Because it might not be an issue for the person you think is an issue with. It might be an issue with you. Is it an issue that you are angry that he's not earning more, or is he lazy? That's another issue entirely. Or is he envious? Now, as you already said, naked and not ashamed. I feel if Christ is the center, pride dies.
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
I think if pride, I think most of the issues that we have with regards to who earns more, who is a pride issue. I mean, I think we should be happy that somebody, I mean, my prayer is for my wife to do well than me.
Absolutely.
It's not an issue of who ends, and that's where you said, and I like what you said, maybe you might emphasize a bit on it. I can see where something moves from becoming an issue to a person.
You make it personal. When you don't talk about it, you make it personal. What becomes personal is you just stop talking, you start reacting, and the person doesn't know what's going on, you know, and all of a sudden, especially let's use the man. If the man is the one that has the issue, and then you shut down, you start shouting, you start trying to dominate her because it's an issue, and she doesn't know, you're telling her she's not submitting, when in all reality, what you are doing is your self-esteem is low. You know, you've got to discuss it. And I always say, that's why when you plan the wedding and not the marriage, it's a challenge for me. Those kind of communicate, when you communicate wedding, it's just a day. Talk about it. Okay, I am a pharmacist. You are a window cleaner. I will, by natural progression, earn more than you. I'm a woman, but I will earn more than you. Do you have an issue with it? If he has an issue, he needs to tell you. If he has plan on moving his window cleaning business international, then he will earn more than you. So you must discuss it. And that is what leads to strong marriages. When you talk about purpose, where are we going? What are the possible pitfalls? I always make sure that couples draw a 3-year cash flow plan for me before they get married. That way I need to know where your finances are coming from, whether you're talking about it. Guess what? I know what the man earns. They see what they each earn. So all that not being transparent cannot work for me. If you're going to get married, you must know, you know. And if the person has been married and by reason of promotion, they start earning more than you, you should have discussed it before you got married. That my wife, I like to be the one on top financially. So if she gets the promotion, then you must struggle hard to get a bigger one. And if it's not happening, then you start talking again. You say, listen, things have altered. You know, what do we do? Maybe we invest the money so that we have a joint. That's why joint account matters. When you're working as a team, it does not then matter. If she earns 10 times as much, it goes in. You know, by law, in the account system, there's what we call joint and several liability, which means once it gets into that pot, it doesn't matter who put it there.
Wow.
You know, when you start having individual accounts, individual account means individual strength. And that's where it comes out as one person being weaker. Joint account means joint strength. So it does not matter. Even if the man earns 50,000 and the woman earns 20,000, or it's not even working, once the money goes in there, it belongs to both of you.
My God.
And then pay yourself what you need every month from there.
Right. Once again, thank you everybody who has joined. I'm going to soon or later bring this round to a close, but there are 2 questions I want to ask. One of the first questions is how do couples divorce, people who are divorced, how do they manage in periods like this, especially where there are children involved? How can they manage to ensure that things run smoothly? Because we have people who are divorced.
Okay. I would honestly tell you that obviously divorce is very, very tough. One of the reasons why God says in Malachi, I hate divorce, is because it does produce a level of challenges that sometimes we don't foresee. However, everything can be managed. Never use your children as pawn in trying to get back at each other. So I'm speaking to people that hopefully they'll prioritize their children above their own emotions. Thank God for this online connection. If the parents are apart, but one person has the children or the child because of this lockdown, please ensure that, like you plan the day, there are regular periods of communicating with their other parent. It is important. They must do that. It just gives a child a sense of identity. The reason why our sons get killed, you know, on the street of Tottenham and Brixton and Birmingham is because of the loss of identity. Please don't let fathers be removed from their lives. You're just storing up tears for yourself in the future. I beg you, do not. As painful as it is, if you have an issue with your wife, your ex-wife, or your ex-husband, deal with your issues. The children are too young to be brought in.
Right. Brilliant. Brilliant. I like that. And since this, what of visitations? How do you manage that?
Well, during this lockdown is a bit challenging, but after the lockdown, I think very clearly the child needs both parents. Statistically, it's been proven that a child that does not have access to both parents, number one, has an 80% chance of being addicted to drugs. Secondly, will do less well academically. And thirdly, will be unstable in relationship naturally. So I know faith exists, but works. Please, balance. James makes it very clear. He said faith without works is dead. Don't feel that what you don't work towards, you can use faith to shock it. It does not work that way. So I want to beg you. Bible says, do not be deceived. What a man soweth, he will reap. You know, don't sow into the flesh. Don't sow into, bad, traumatizing your children and expect that they will grow up as adults. I've been a pastor for over 23 years, approximately 23 years pastoring a church. And I realized that the children that are in church that come from a home that they don't have access to both parents give me more challenge after marriage than those who had both parents access to. So listen to this. Even though you're divorced, expose your children to their other parent. I beg you. Visitation rights. Even if that parent doesn't want to see them, insist. Ensure that they have access to both parents. If the child gets to an age and the child says, I don't want to see this parent, that's their choice.
That's their choice.
You must give them up until the age when they can make that decision themselves. Ensure that they have access to that other partner. Don't use that child as a pawn. You will pay for it in the future.
Fantastic. Excellent. I mean, we should give Pastor Ashaye a big round of applause for being a blessing to us. Final question is, can you give us any tips on living at home in this lockdown period linked to the Bible?
Well, very simple. I will tell you very clearly, and I joked about it earlier on. Bible says, let's do everything in moderation. As we are at home, isolate yourself from your fridge. So many of us at the moment, when we were outside, we used to eat maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Now you don't even have, you can't count. You just feel like just go to the fridge and eat something. So please, moderation, I beg you. Secondly, we need to exercise. The bodily exercise profited little, but it does profit. So those strolls that act as a bonding mechanism for spouses and family also does a lot for physical exercise. So if you say, well, Pastor, I don't jog, guess what? Walk for an hour. You'll be surprised if you do that 4 or 5 days a week. It will do a lot for you. It will do a lot for you. And then finally, make sure you tune into your church, whatever church you attend. Make sure, because some of us, I know when the church was open, used to come in late. Now you are missing the entire service. There is something you must do. You must feed your soul. We are bombarded out there with a lot of statistics. 30-something thousand people died. You need to hear the word that will keep you not just physically you're safe, but also sane. The word has the capacity to restore your soul. So when you are hearing a lot of bad news, the word of God restores your soul. So please, as I said, isolate yourself from your fridge, do exercise, and listen to the word online.
That exercise that you just said, I'm sure that Elder Bayo is listening. He will be shouting and skipping and saying, yes, this is fantastic. Look, my friend, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate you coming on. Everybody who has joined us online, Thank you so much. Reverend Ashaye has been a blessing to us. And just in 30 seconds, you've just written a new book called The Spirit of Africa. Could you just, what is that all about? Just in 30 seconds. That new book is on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's called The Spirit of Africa. Can you just explain in 30 seconds what the book is all about?
Well, I always feel that as Christians, especially Black Christians, we have divorced our mindset from the fact that we're also the seed of Abraham. I don't want to go proving that through scriptures. But we also quote Abrahamic covenant rights, like we are the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. To our Jewish brethren, it is their reality. It's not a quote. It's not a confession. It's their profession. It's what they walk in. And the Spirit of Africa literally tries to show us our history and where our brokenness started from, but also take us to a brighter future, how we can truly be the head and not the tail.
My God. Everybody go on Amazon right now and go and get the book. It's on Kindle. It's on hard copy. I got the Kindle one. Is it on
the hard copy hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
COVID hasn't allowed it.
Just get the Kindle, The Spirit of Africa, and you will be blessed. Before I round up, Pastor Ashaye, can you just pray for all of us? Can everybody just bow their heads and let him just pray for us?
Father, Lord, we thank you in the name of Jesus. We give you all the glory for this season. We know that all things work together for the good of they that love you and are the called according to your purpose. The Bible says, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men what you have prepared for us. But the word says you are revealing it to us by your Spirit. I pray during this period of lockdown, people know that it's God's waiting room for divine instruction for the season after. Open our eyes of understanding. Holy Spirit, I commit everyone on this platform to you, that you begin to teach us the secrets of the season after. Let your name be exalted, O God. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Can everybody give Reverend Ashaye a big hand clap as we round this up? Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you, my brother, for taking my invitation. God bless you so much. And we will be back probably next month again, or sometimes. It depends on what people say. If they need more and we want to get more questions, we will deal with that later on. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll let you go while I take one or two announcements. I'll speak to you later, brother. God bless you.
Thank you.